Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello, fourth graders. I thought it'd be fun to actually make a video of a math lesson as opposed as to what we've been sending out, the Khan Academy and other sites that we've used. Today's lesson is going to be on simplifying fractions. That can sometimes be one of our more difficult skills, but I want to go over some steps with you to show you what simplifying fractions looks like. Next to the simplifying fractions I have written up here, I wrote down lowest term. Sometimes you'll see it either on a worksheet or on IXL where you'll be doing an assignment today. It says write these fractions in the lowest term. That means to simplify. So let's get started. Let's start with the fraction 6/15. All right. Now, when I simplify a fraction, what you always want to remember is that you're going to be dividing. All right. Simplifying means to put it in the simplest terms, make them smaller. What I want to do is find a number that goes into 6 and 15. When I simplify, it has to be divided by a number. They have to be divided by the same number. I can't divide 6 by 6 and 15 by 5 and simplify. It doesn't work that way. The best way to do this, the most accurate way to do this, is to, when you get a fraction like this, take the numerator and try to find the numbers that go into that numerator. The way we can do that is by doing factor pairs. So if I'm looking for a factor pair, that's two numbers that when I multiply them together, you get this number. So if I have 6, what times what equals 6? 1 goes into every number, so let's start with that. 1 times 6 equals 6. Are there any other factor pairs that equal 6? That answer is yes, 2 times 3. So I'm going to write down 2 times 3 as well. So now I have these 4 numbers that all go into 6, and I need to choose the number that also goes into 15. First one is 1. 1 does go into 6. 1 does go into 15, but I will never, ever, ever use 1 when I'm simplifying fractions, because if I divide 6 by 1, what do I get? 6. If I divide 15 by 1, what do I get? 15. Same fraction, does not work. So we will not use the 1. Now I have 6. 6 goes into 6, as we know. Does 6 go into 15? That answer is no, for a couple of reasons. 1, I can count by 6 to see if it goes into 15. 6, 12, 18, skips over it. Also, even numbers don't go into odd numbers, so we know that that won't work also. Next up, I have 2. 2 is an even number, so it does not go into an odd number. Also, if I counted by 2s, I would hit 14 and then 16 and skip over it, so 2 would not work. That leaves us with 3. 3 does go into 6, as we know, 2 times. Does 3 go evenly into 15? The answer is yes. You can think to yourself, 3 times what is 15? Or you can count by 3s. Either way, we know 3 goes into 15. So I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 3. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Since it is the only number that goes into both, that's it for simplifying. It is a one-step simplification, dividing them both by 3. So that's an example of 1. Okay, let's do another fraction. Let's do 24/40. All right. Now, I can think to myself, okay, what goes into 24 and 40, and try to keep track of all those numbers in my head. Or I can very quickly do the factor pairs that equal 24. That'll give me an idea of what I'm looking at here. So, as we know, 1 goes into every number, so 1 times 24 is 24. 24 is an even number, so 2 goes in there. 2 times what equals 24? That would be 12. Next, we get into factor pairs that show up on our fact test. What times what equals 24? 3 and 8 is one factor pair that I know of. 3 times 8 is 24. Also, 4 times 6. So now I have 8 numbers here. It didn't take me long to come up with them. but I have 8 numbers that I'll be able to choose from. I know these all go into 24. Let's see which ones go into 40. Does one go into 40? Yes. Do I ever use one to simplify? No. 24. 24 plus 24 is 48. It skips over the 40, so that does not work. Does 2 go into 40? Yes. It's even number, so therefore we know 2 could be a possibility. Does 12 go into 40? 12, 24, 36 to 48. 12 skips right over it, so that will not work. Does 3 go into 40? No, because if I take the digits, 4 plus 0 equals 4. 3 does not go into 4. That can be a little shortcut. 3 will not work. Does 8 work? 8 goes into 40. 8 times 5. Yep, 8 does work. Does 4 go into 40? Yes, 10 times. So that's another one. Does 6 go into 40? I can do my 6 facts. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 would skip right over that. So now what I have here is 2, 8, and 4. And when I have multiple numbers that go into a number, when we're simplifying, I always want to choose the biggest one, which is 8. So I'm going to divide both of these fractions by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. 40 divided by 8 is 5. And there I have a simplified fraction. Now, factor pairs isn't what you have to do. It probably makes the most sense. It's going to give you the best chance at being accurate. If you say don't want to do that, though, and you just want to start dividing right away, I look at 24 and I look at 40, and I think, okay, they're both even numbers, so I could start with 2. Wait, 4 goes into both. Let's try that. So let's divide them both by 4. Just because off the top of my head, I knew 4 went in there. So it's a place to start. And sometimes just getting that start can help you get towards the goal of simplifying the fraction, especially if you don't want to do the factor pairs. 24 divided by 4, 6. 40 divided by 4, 10. I look at this fraction, I have 6/10. Can that be simplified? Yes. They're still both even numbers, so I know 2 goes into both. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And I know that's simplified. So if I look up here, they're both 3/5. I got there. I got to the same answer. I just took different steps to do it. Quick one more thing to show you. What did I divide by the first time? 4. What did I divide by the second time? 2. What's 4 times 2? 8, which is what I divided by here. So you can see how those numbers go together. So in conclusion, factor pairs with the numerator is a great place to start. And then we want to divide them down to the lowest term or the simplest form. Thank you for watching. I miss all of you terribly. I hope things are going well, and thanks for listening.